Greetings everyone, this is a Dawn of War Pro commentary and I'm YayaBunWa. This is a game between Matu as Orks and Yaoquizque as Space Marines on Outer Reaches, the map. So this is Dawn of War Pro. For anyone not terribly familiar with Dawn of War Pro, you could say if the normal game of Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War is a game of soft counters, then which is, one unit has a particular advantage or strength, another unit has a different kind of advantage or strength, then Dawn of War Pro is a game of hard counters, rock, paper, scissors. That's the basic gist of it. So anyway, in this game, Matu has gone for a very quick cap on his relic, probably aiming to get a sort of, and then he's gone for a shooter boys squad as his second unit, and he's gone for a sort of take the outer points first strategy. Now, Yaoquizque has gone for a 3 scout build into a force commander and a space marine squad, and he's just started in his base and gone for a general cap order. Just sort of slowly going out to take over his squads. Now, one thing I didn't notice was that the Orks has opened with, so they started with their Slugger Boy squad, which they started off with, and then they built a Shooter Boy squad, and then they've gone for an Ard Boy squad as their third squad. Now, Ard Boys are an interesting addition to the tier 1 of Orks in Dawn of War Pro, in that they are a armor type that is similar to Space Marines. So they're much more tankier. They deal a little bit more damage. They're pretty good against buildings too, but they're slower. And so although they have more health, they also cost more, and they have an energy cost as well. So, and they don't have a very large unit size at the start. So whilst they're great for dealing with special weapons that the Space Marines might produce, such as sniper rifles and heavy bolters, they also cost quite a bit and are quite slow. So there's a bit of maintenance to them. So the force commander of the Space Marines is doing a little bit of harassment here, getting a kill on one of the shooters, and meanwhile, attack Marines meeting up in the middle with the force commander probably might look to turn this around. No, the Orks turns around first. So here we've got both the Space Marines and the Orks looking to take their side of the top of the map without terribly contesting the middle of the map. Now, another thing to note in Dawn of War Pro is that critical locations actually, they bring in quite a bit of wreck. They're worth quite a lot. Now, this Slugger squad is doomed. It's doomed. Yeah, so they turn around and a unit in melee, this shooter boy is not... Oh, wait, no, totally intentional. So the mech with his teleporter teleports in, targeting that Space Marine squad. I guess he wants to get this top point secured first, or... I'm not quite sure now. The Orks are definitely losing out here, especially with the Force Commander being chased around, but I suppose that the Orks is trying to get... There goes the shooter squad, and the big mech is detached from the Ard Boys, and even the Grots are joining in to try and tie up as much as they can. As the moment the Orks sort of turn around to run, they're going to be punished. So perhaps they're trying to buy time for when the big mech teleporter's back online, but the big mech jumps back on the squad, and they're going back into combat. They are in heavy cover at the moment, and again, they focus the Force Commander. Unfortunately, the Force Commander seemed to have focused directly on the mech at that one single point. Another Ard Boy squad being made, so the Orks have invested purely into the Ard Boys, and let's see, what has the Space Marines got? So the Space Marines gone for... Oh, so they've gone for Grey Knights as their second unit. So Grey Knight's been sort of like a lot of different races in Dawn of War Pro have a sort of alternative secondary hero that they can also build in tier 1 or tier 2, and for Space Marines, Grey Knights is their alternative. Now, of course, it's not like you can only pick one or the other, you can pick both. but they're quite expensive, as you can see, 80, 25 each, times that by 3, that's the initial cost of the squad, but they're quite tanky. And so against a race like Orks, with their buildings, as you can see, doing a tremendous amount of damage. So whilst they cost a lot, and they might not be terribly good against Ardboys, they're quite good against weaker armoured squads, such as sluggers, shooters. So Space Marines don't have too many choices here. They really do have to... I mean, they could turn around and fight, but they would probably suffer a lot of losses. The shooter boys here with 2 big shooters on the squad, they're going to try and probably take out these... Yep. So the scouts... This is one of the advantages of going for Ardboys. Whilst heavy bolters might be one option that the Space Marines can go for. Oh, the big mech teleporting over onto the Grey Knights, trying to get some damage done. Taking out any number of these Grey Knights is the accomplishment, and with 2 already, or well, 3 really, because you know one of them's a skull probe really. A lot of damage, quite a costly amount of damage has been done to the Space Marines simply by doing so much damage to this Grey Knight squad. And the big mech really hasn't suffered all that much. So they're going to continue trying to chase down this squad. So whilst these Ardboys are being chased down by this force commander, Grey Knights, I guess I missed it, but they must be gone. They're dead. They're dead. And these scouts against the big shooter in this squad will get ripped apart. So one of the advantages this force commander really wants to get out of this big mech, I mean, in terms of the hero face-off between both these races, the Space Marines are definitely losing out. With big mech, almost full health, as opposed to this force commander. Thankfully, they do have this minefield here. It's going to do a little bit of disruption. It might scare the Orks away, but oh no, another squad caught out. Scout squad going down. The scouts, an armory has been built, yes, and a couple, I think there's 3 generators on the side of the Space Marines, so they might be either looking for tier 2, keep on this side. So they're going for frag grenades. They probably want to get snipers up and going, but the snipers aren't going to do much damage against the Ardboys. That's one of the advantages of the Ardboys. Heavy bolters and snipers don't deal a whole lot of damage to them. Normally a great choice. It seems like the Space Marines have gone for a plasma pistol on the Force Commander, hoping to sort of sit at range and stay back as much as possible. But the Orks have been quite clever where they took this forward point. Space Marines floating a fair bit. They're starting to spend their money now. So they've gone for their tier 2 upgrade and another tac squad. They might be looking at grabbing some research. No, but as for... They really need to take back some of this map. Well, I mean, the map's pretty even, but if we look at the resource income... Space Marines is ahead. They probably had most of the... No, they don't. Well, anyway, so the Orks are engaging once again with frag grenades up. That Force Commander is dangerously low to dying. And the Orks trying to get us around, I think. Not quite able to do it. That Stormboy squad, if they can take, they can't. But the snipers focus on the... Is there a sniper in this squad? No, there's not. And there goes the Force Commander. Hoi! A lot of fighting early in this game. I can see how it's a close game. Now, the Scouts have managed to get away, and the Space Marines not going for heavy bolters yet. Not much of a point at this point. With, they've seen the Storm Boys out. They've seen the Teleporter mech with the Ardboys. 2 squads of Ardboys before. I think it's only 1 now. But 2 squads of Storm Boys. Anything that needs to set up that isn't something like a sniper squad. Snipers quite good against Storm Boys, since they get 1 shot off and then there's quite the reload time, whereas opposed to heavy bolters that sort of want to do damage over time, and once they're caught up in close combat they can't deal with that much, whereas snipers can sort of hit and run tactics. So Space Marines managed to push these Orks back, but the Orks in heavy cover are probably feeling a little confident, and they want to hold their advantage over the map. Right now, Orks have quite a significant more of rec income, but having a look at LP2, listening post upgrade 2s, and Space Marines rebuilding their Force Commander, getting their Mech Cult up, their Machine Cult, sorry, being able to build vehicles soon. Orks and Space Marines re-engaging once again. Space Marines, I suppose, trying to keep the Orks on their toes. They do have frag grenades, so they can temporarily slow down the Orks. Sort of hit and run, hit and run. The Orks, whilst they do have one squad of shooters with these two big shooters, it's not much, so it's about an even trade every time they engage. But the Orks, they seem to be, so they've got 4 generators presumably, 1, 2, 3, 4, yes, and Space Marines 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Space Marines with a slightly higher, and here comes the first vehicle of the match. The Dreadnought is definitely, the Space Marines will probably want to take advantage of this. So they're going with the heavy bolters, and the Orks going straight into the back. I don't think they expected to jump into a Dreadnought the moment they popped in there. Oh, the poor Orks. I think they were looking, because our boys do quite decent damage to buildings. They're probably looking to find the Space Marines generators. So, but they did get a little bit of information when they popped in. They would have only seen that one generator, so they're probably thinking, oh, they're somewhere else. So they're gonna sort of split their forces, the Storm Boys going one way and the rest of the army going the other, and the Space Marines can't really split their forces much at the moment. They kind of can, and they do have mines. Well, they did have a second minefield in the centre, but now they've only got this one at top. And they've got these scouts, but there goes one scout squad, and Storm Boys jumping away once again. This Mad Doc, I'm not sure if the Mad Doc with its healing capabilities is going to jump onto a squad, or it's just going to die. It's just going to die. It's just going to die. But with the Space Marine squads, although one has heavy bolters and the other one's just plain running around, they do have the Dreadnought, but besides that, they don't really have all that much that can face up to this Ork army. If they stick around for too long, I mean, this squad already down, Space Marine Tacticals, already down to 4 members. The Heavy Bolter squad faring a lot better, but here comes the Mech Ardboy squad, and I think the Orks, they probably intend to continue chasing, whilst they do have... Is that... oh, okay. Right, because I didn't have them, I couldn't see them. So they do have that second one, and a Whirlwind out as well. So they've got the Whirlwind and the Dreadnought, probably hoping that the combination of the Mines and the Whirlwind might be able to do enough morale damage to perhaps slow down this Ork army that's just completely massing. Orks and DoWpro, the bigger their army gets, the more powerful they become. So, sort of like the more that they can mass up, the better they are. So, a land speeder coming out for the Orks. One tactical marine surviving there. Otherwise, what have we got? I think the Orks are slowly, they've been split up a lot, and I'm not sure. They do have taken hold victory going. Maybe they're hoping to buy just enough time for that. Scout squad at the top. So, the center and the bottom, critical location. If they don't do something about that, it's game over. But at the same time, the Orks are doing a great job of sort of chasing around the Space Marines with the war tracks out with the Twin Rocks. But here comes that Scout Marine squad just in time. Yeah, they'll make it just in time, which really begs the question. The Orks have taken a lot of damage here, although they do have these war trucks out with the missile launchers, and they're slowly, at least they're taking out one land speeder. The Space Marines still have that Whirlwind and the one land speeder and that Dreadnought, and really, I think the Orks were hoping, I think the Orks were hoping to pull victory and just buy time there, but with the taken hold victory being stopped by that infiltrated scout squad in the center. The Orks are now in a bit of a difficult position. They might still have the eco advantage, but they don't. They lost a lot. They lost, probably like I can't quite. I think it was what 2 Stormboy squads, an Ardboy squad, a mech. Perhaps even 2 squads of mech Ardboy squads. Whilst they did keep the shooter squad. The fact that they've lost the big shoes means that they probably had to reinforce this constantly and keep them at the back. Whilst they do have these war tracks, and the Gretchens are trying to constantly keep these war tracks alive against these missile Space Marines. Oh, 3. Did they go for any... Trying to click... So, okay, so one bomb chucker on one of the war tracks. But one very dangerously close to dying with a Gretchen sort of... This Gretchen squad, the Force Commander seems to be focusing them intentionally. And there we go, healing up. This big mech teleporting in to try and stop these missile Space Marines from taking out these war tracks. Let's see, is that 2... Okay, so one of the war tracks doesn't have anything, so he's going for 3 twin rockets. Okay, so 3 twin rockets on the war tracks and one with the bomb chucker. Pretty even game, balanced at this point. Taking hold victory for Yao, but that doesn't really mean much at this point with so much time remaining. The scouts and the Force Commander and this Land Speeder doing a lot of damage to the backline of the Orks, and whilst these war tracks can sort of run around and have free reign to do what they want, since most of them are missile, they don't really have much anti-infantry capability, but they found the whirlwind finally. If they can start focusing some of these points, say taking out the listening points, oh, okay, that sign, that big red thing that you saw was the death of a hero, so there goes the big mech. Space Marines have clawed back in. They were looking quite bad, but with that sort of death march that the Orks went on into the enemy base. Oh, running into this with so many missiles. Not such a good idea. Thankfully that missile runs astray, but is this 2 squads of Marines with missiles? It is. So, really, if the Orks... So here we've got a Knob squad. And it seems like the Orks have gone into tier 3, and if they can get a little bit more pop, then they can pump out a looted Lehman Russ, which might turn the tables a little bit, but I think the Orks are trying to find some weak points, but I wonder if they're trying to sacrifice on purpose that they have enough. No, still not enough pop to push out, so... push out that looted Lehman Russ. So another Dread enters the field, and the Space Marines will probably look to push up here if they can take out these war banners and this pile of guns up the top here and push up here. I'm not sure that the Space Marines knows that so much defense, or should I say investment, has been put up here for the Orks, or they might be at least trying to push the Orks. Been sneaky here with the Grots to scout out, but they get caught out by that passing Space Marine Force Commander that spotted them. And here we go with a Dreadnought to lead the charge and to tank up all damage. I think the Space Marines are ready to push up top. They're certainly going to be in for a surprise when they find so much here that they can take out. So this will probably hurt the Orks quite a bit, but the Orks are just sitting tight, so they're grabbing some sluggers, probably just to beef up their forces with an extra unit to tie up. The Storm Boys, so that they can jump in the back and just stop these missiles from being able to shoot. Not that it matters a whole lot at this point, given that the war tracks, well, yeah, okay, the war tracks have become more important, and here we go, the Orks jump in, they use a stun on one of the land speeders and a bomb on the other, tying up as many of the squads as possible as units come in the back, but here we've got one unit sitting pretty, not doing all that much. It's just the big mech and the knobs, and they're slowly getting cut down as much as they're tanking. a lot of this between the snipers, the listening posts at one point, that land speeder, and all the plasma guns from all the leaders. Although they can tie them up, and so the sluggers finally come in, but they're a little late, and they just drop dead as they're focused down. So whilst they're able to stop the countdown timer, and it seems like that Stormboy squad completely capped that point, and they're able to take out the land speeder and the dread, stopping all but one YayaBunWa from being taken out. But that would have reduced, yes, the Orks are no longer pop capped for did they manage to get that? So they did get one of the looted Lehman Russes out now that they've got that, but they're no longer where they're probably at about 95 pop to 100 pop, and this is an upgraded war banner too, so doing slightly more damage to infantry and taking out one missile Space Marine for its troubles. But after that, the entire top of the map has been taken by Space Marines, giving them a free critical location. Space Marines continue to push in, knowing that the entirety of the Ork army is in the center, and they don't have any infantry to tie up anything. So, if they could take out all this gen farm generators, when they explode, they do a little bit of damage to surrounding buildings. So, unfortunately, when you've got many generators, oops, sorry, hit the microphone there for a sec. There goes listening post 2 as well, and if these generators, every time, if you got them all surrounding together and you explode one, then it does a bit of damage to another, and another, a bit like a chain explosion. And so, as you can see, as it exploded, it did a little bit of damage, and although the Orks, they do have this tier 3 looted Lehman Russ, they really need something like these mega armored knobs to tie up these Space Marines just in the nick of time. The mega armored knobs having a overcharge ability that slowly does damage to themselves, but allows them to attack and move faster. Mega armored knobs, as you can see the price there, 150 rec, 110 power. They are not cheap. They are tier 3 to I think tier 3.5 of the Orks. The strongest, don't leave that on. As you can see, the health slowly ticking away, so I should be watching the fight, but please turn off that ability, Matu. The big mech throwing out the stun on the land speeder, probably hoping to take it out, which they will. I guess, you know, with the Muns, with the are they healing? No, they're not healing faster. I'm not even sure if the Mad Doc heals at this point. Looking at this, you wouldn't think so. Here, what have we got? Oh, here we got a Predator upgrading 2 lascans, 3 lascans. So going completely anti-building, anti-vehicle. Probably hoping to counter this looted Lehman Russ. And although the looted Lehman Russ can upgrade with a zap gun, it will generally just about always lose out in a tank battle between a fully anti-vehicle building Predator, Predator in a one-on-one, but probably not looking to upgrade that anytime soon, and perhaps hoping for the cannon's disruption against these Space Marine squads. And with both squads completely reinforced with only missile launchers, I can see why disruption's important. So what have we got here? We've got Tank Buster Squad that's attached to the... Yeah, well, so Tank Busters do quite a fair bit of damage. They can either go for rocket launchers and do damage to vehicles via range, or they can do damage in melee. So putting them, attaching... So the Muns run in, and the Muns, because they'd spent so much time, they were already low on health, and they are quickly been taken. Oh, I see. So the Space Marines have got a Terminator squad there with a Force Commander attached to them, and they're just sort of running around, and the Orks are suffering as they do so. So Orks don't really have much. The The Muns, the Mega Armored Knobs dead now, I believe. Yep. And a Terminator squad fully upgraded, and there goes the looted Lehman Russ and the Tank Busters, and that's GG. That's GG. What a good game. Good game between Yao and Matu. In the end, unfortunately, the Space Marines just were able to out-resource, oh, well, not out-resources, but the amount of damage that was done after the Mega Armored Knobs died, and although the Tank Busters were a good idea with the mech to try and jump in the back line and take out the Predators and any land speeders or any vehicles that the Space Marines had, they'd really transitioned into an infantry army faster than the Orks could keep up and challenge them. So really good game between Matu and Yao. So I hope you enjoyed this game. I'm going to be trying to, well, the DoWpro channel is going to be trying to do more commentating shoutcast games from here on out. If you got any feedback, please let me know or let us know down in the comments. And if you're still watching up to this point, thanks for watching, and hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.